Yo! Yes, everybody, we are back with some more Jujutsu Kaisen content. It feels so good to say that once again. Y'all love the series. I don't know about y'all. I do. And we are back, and now today I wanted to discuss the epilogue that just came out recently, I believe last week. I apologize for the delay on this. I've been busy with other videos and work IRL, so I apologize for the delay. But I think there's some pretty good stuff in here, and we all know that the ending for Jujutsu Kaisen was very contentious. A lot of people did not like the ending. I thought the ending was pretty good. I thought the ending was pretty fair. A lot of people, in my personal opinion, were dragging the ending because there were all of a sudden plot points that people cared about so much. Were there things that were good? Yes. Were there things that were bad? Yes. I ultimately did feel like Kenjaku did get kind of done dirty. The fact that he had zero interactions with Yuji post Shibuya, even though he was literally the person that birthed him, and he never got to see Yuji's development as a sorcerer. Like Shinjuku Yuji should have had him just like doing his best Dream Bull impression, just fucking it never happened. It's very weird to me why that was never a thing, but ultimately I do feel like Yuji and Sukuna's final battle was very well done. Nobara and Todo's inclusion into the story this late in the game, I don't necessarily know how I feel about that. I'm leaning more so on that's what I didn't like necessarily, but to each his own. So I made a video about a month or two ago where I discussed the possibility of new additions being added into the manga. With the final releases of the last two volumes, a lot of people said to me that there was not going to be any new stuff in here, which I doubted it. But actually, we had over 16 new pages of material to cover. Now, I did make a bet with y'all. I'm going to go over it here in a second, but I don't really know if I really want to. I don't know if I want to. So the first epilogue we get is from the POV of Ozawa. Now, for those that remember, Ozawa is the girl that really has a crush on Yuji, and she was actually the girl who had that glow up, even though Yuji recognized her, a lot of other people didn't, and she used to get made fun of for her weight and everything, but Yuji ultimately still was fond of her because she was a kind person, and Yuji isn't the type to be super material like that. Well, yes, he still says that he likes tall girls, a little bit of booty meat on them. He still says she's a nice girl, and she was always nice to him. Now, for those that remember, that chapter where Ozawa was trying to get hooked up with Yuji by Nobara, that was originally not in Gege's plans, but Gege's editor wanted him to have a little bit of a slowdown chapter before jumping immediately into Shibuya, which I ultimately think was a very good decision. Especially going into the anime, having that 1 month break from hidden inventory, then having a little bit of a slowdown, and then ultimately jumping in with Mekamaru versus Mahito and everything, I think that was very well done. Much needed levity for the ensuing chaos that followed after. So as the chapter starts, we have Yuji reminiscing on Snow, and he talks about when he's younger, fireworks in the sea become less and less special, but he says snow still has a special feeling even when you're older. And Ozawa at the time agrees. And Ozawa is back in her hometown, and as she's going along through this station, she sees this sea of people, but none of them are really the person that she wants to see, obviously being Yuji. And we actually have Gege redraw one of Yuji's older panels in his newer style. Actually, I like comparing the two. He had a nice evolution of how Gege's work came about. And funny enough, actually, Yuji shows up. Now, I'm not sure if it was exactly a time skip, but Yuji still has the bandage over his right ear, but his hair is slicked up. He does look a little older to me, so I don't know, maybe a month or two. But Yuji talks about how when he left for Tokyo, his grandpa was just left as it is with some other stuff, so he came home to kind of get some affairs in order. And funny enough, actually, as they're talking about just kind of the goings on that they've been happening, Yuji asks where she's been. Is she okay with everything that's been going on? Now, if you remember, the very last thing we saw of Ozawa was Kenjaku actually thanking her for being nice to his son. I personally was hoping that we'd have a little bit more from that interaction, but I do like what we got. It was very creepy how Kenjaku just kind of like came in and Ozawa had no idea who this individual was as soon as the Culling game started popping off, because Kenjaku was just kind of going around just talking to everybody. Was this the same chapter where he went up to Noritoshi Kamo and was just like, hey bro, I'm just saying you're not worth shit. I was just thinking this shit's hilarious. That was easily one of the most disrespectful moments in Jujutsu Kaisen. Like Noritoshi Kamo got ready to fight, Kenjaku was like, whoa, no. You know how that happens. Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let's relax. So it's funny, Yuji actually is implied to have asked if Ozawa was okay. And Ozawa tries to calm herself down. And it's like, oh, well, it doesn't mean he usually he asked because he already knew how I was. But I do think that this is Gege kind of giving us a little bit of a romantical side to Yuji. I mean, it's very explicitly implied at the end of the chapter because Nobara says he's on the precipice of becoming an adult, I think. And once again, they talk about how Snow is still special to them. Now, interestingly enough, the last time we saw Snow in Jujutsu Kaisen was in Yuji's flashback talking about when he was a kid and what that meant to him. And it's funny because to me, when I see this, and I'm trying to digest this, I think to myself, the last memory Yuji had of Snow is trying to relate to Sukuna and talk to him and bring him down to his level as a human being and try to fundamentally empathize with him. But Sukuna still didn't. Sukuna still stood firm in the path he was. He said, you're showing me all this, all these cute memories and all that. I don't fucking care. I'm still gonna do what I want to do. I'm still the person I am. I know what you're trying to do. It doesn't move me. But Yuji is still an optimistic and hopeful kid, and so he sees this snow and it still brings a good feeling to him. And we actually have that moment when he was about to kill Mahito, and we have that snowfield, right, where he's the wolf and Mahito is the rabbit. Now, I got that scene more so from Mahito's point of view, but I could see it being Yuji's. I could see it being implied. But for me, the purpose of this third of the epilogue is to show that Yuji is still the same kind-hearted kid we know, and he's grown up, he's matured. He doesn't harbor any of these harsh feelings from anything of the things that he's endured. He is a strong person fundamentally, and that's one thing I love about Yuji. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it, but there's these memes of like if Yuji was in My Hero Academia and like Yuji was around when he heard Bakugo say that Deku should jump off a roof, and it's just fucking Yuji beating the shit out of him. I love those memes, dude. I love those. I like me some good versus battles and all that, but I do like some goofy stuff. It's like, oh, these protagonists get along with each other. Like, for example, like Yuji and Denji, I feel like they would get along great. But yeah, I like this first third of the epilogue. The third part of the epilogue is ultimately the very best out of these. I'm gonna briefly go over the second epilogue real quick because I want to get to the good stuff. And I have to say this one's bad. But in the second epilogue, we actually have it from Panda's point of view, and we have the reveal that because Panda is a cursed corpse, basically his life force kind of like flickers out, but it's just very slow. So he's actually sitting in storage in what this young girl calls Grandpa's treasures, and actually we get the reveal that is actually Yuta and Maki's grandchildren. And Yuta actually became head of the Gojo clan. Now, and this is 2080, which is a pretty big time skip. But I mean, a lot of people were shocked that Yuta and Maki got together. I don't know why. I mean, like they have been flirting with each other and, you know, had this cute little relationship throughout the entire manga. Like even since what was it? Chapter 0.4, where Yuta is like, oh, let's destroy the Zen clan together. And Maki kind of like starts blushing or whatever. Like, dude, come on. Like, hey, stop it. But Yuta as the head of the Gojo clan was a pretty big surprise to me. I was not expecting that. I wish we could have seen more of the Gojo clan. That's one thing that I definitely wish we could have seen more. I wanted to see more of Gojo's relatives. I wanted to see what his family thinks of him being the strongest and what his mother, what his father thought to raise someone such as this. I would want to see something like that. Maybe not something like the Kushina and Minato, how that was handled in Naruto with, you know, going into the recesses of their child's brain or anything like that. But I want to see a little flashback. That would have been nice. But I must confess, this one doesn't really move me. It really doesn't. The third one though, make a nash that like bun and cheese. Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot about them Nobara one. There's actually 4. My fault, y'all. My bad. My bad, y'all. My bad. So at the ending of the initial epilogue, we had Gojo giving Nobara a letter on where her mother was at. And she was like, ultimately, I don't want this. Like, why would I care about this? And so actually, when we go to Nobara's epilogue, we have her talking with her mother. And her mother was actually a sorcerer, which is a surprise to nobody. But Nobara actually lived with her grandmother, and her grandmother was the one that raised her. Her mother was basically a female Toji and just kind of doing whatever she wanted. She didn't really care that, you know, she had a child. This woman is just full of vice. I mean, she says she spends her life seducing the rich, getting drunk, running through young men, and she says she's having all this fun. She feels like her life is at her best. And funny enough, actually, Nobara just sits here just laughing at her. She holds no respect for her deadbeat mother, as she should. And she's like, oh, I just wanted to see something funny. And she says, isn't that right, Granny? And Nobara's mom actually turns around and sees her own mother who raised her own child for her. And then this this story blacks out from there. So pretty cute. I do think this could have been done a little earlier, but I do appreciate Gege trying to course correct here and give us a little bit of insight on why we should care about that in general. I actually might cop the Japanese versions of the last 2 volumes just to have them in my possession. I think those covers are absolute fire. I mean, those 2 covers. Oh, the Sukuna one where he's stretching out the fucking mouth of it. Oh, you digging it, me, Gege? You digging it? What the fuck am I doing? Oh my god, bro. I'm so sorry, y'all. So let's get to my favorite part of these last epilogues. And this is actually coming from the perspective of Uraume. Sukuna walks up to this child surrounded by all these frozen corpses, and the child explains that they can't control it. When they wake up, everyone around them is cold and that their father and their mother died because they were like this. Now, a little bit of visual storytelling here. You see Sukuna kind of looking off, kind of looking aloof. And to me, this gives me the feeling that he's trying not to show that he actually cares for this young child, because we know that when what Sukuna told us, he was a wretched child, he was a cursed child, probably because of how he looked, because he was a cannibal and he ate his brother in the womb. We don't know exactly what made him such a cursed child, but we could easily make the assumption that he sees himself in this young, desperate life, and he doesn't want that to happen. Sukuna would never say that, you know, he's being kind or anything like that, but the way he's looking, it just gives me that how do I make it look like I don't give a fuck, but I actually do. You know? And this might be one of the only people that Sukuna ever showed kindness to. He didn't even do this with Yorozu. With Yorozu, he didn't even react when he killed her way back in the Heian era, but he sees this one child and he says, come with me. He says, actually, yesterday, I accidentally crushed my ice house. Perfect. Do you know how to cut human meat? And go crazy with some jerk seasoning, I tell you. And we actually have this cute little moment where Sukuna is teaching Uraume how to, you know, eat properly and everything. And Sukuna does ask her, can you butcher humans? He says it depends on the person, what's kind of a delicacy. And Uraume actually asks Sukuna, even though you're near me, you do not get cold. And Sukuna says, that goes for you as well, Uraume. Why do you not get cold being by my side? And this ultimately is the end of Jujutsu Kaisen's story. I love this epilogue. Maybe this wasn't the Heian era flashback I was expecting, but I love this lore drop that we get from Uraume. We have this softer side of Sukuna that we rarely ever see. And possibly this is also why he hates Yuji so much as well, because Yuji is such a well-regarded kid. He's a good kid. He's in all these clubs. He's very well liked. He makes friends with everybody so easily. With Sukuna, he never had friends or anything like that. He was always seen for his strength, and some people hated him for it, some people loved him for it, but they never saw him as a person. And so when Yuji tried to do that in Shinjuku, it just disgusted him because it's such a foreign concept. He said, you are pitying me? He is this far into his life, and this is the first person to give him pity? I like this a lot, man. I do. Now, what I am hoping for is in season 3 and season 4 of Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm hoping, since Gege is finished with this manga and he's kind of loading up on what he wants to do next, maybe he wants to enjoy his money for a little while, I'm hoping we get the Tite Kubo treatment like we did with Bleach. I'm hoping there's some new additions. I'm hoping that Gege can throw in some new stuff that he wanted to do, not just new cuts as far as like action scenes and everything like that, but new lore, right? Maybe we get one episode dedicated to some Heian era stuff with Uraume and Sukuna and Yorozu. That would be fire. Just one episode dedicated to Heian era stuff. I'd be down for that. I would be down for that. Condense it all under one umbrella of an episode with some good direction. I'm about that. Extend Kenjaku's fight with Yuta and Takaba. Maybe Yuta can still sneak him, but that can be reworked. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of how that whole shindig went down. That was just weird. But yeah, I like this new epilogue. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you guys like this new epilogue? Do you hate it? Do you feel like Gege could have added a little more? Do you feel like any information in this was not pertinent? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm curious. But yeah, it's Baby Boy Dad. If you guys think that's what you're joining me on this video, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Y'all make sure you take care of yourselves, guys, and have a damn good one. Peace.